Crohn's. Continue.
All right. So the first week that you go into this, it's all classroom experience. You're spending time learning the methodology in a classroom environment, kind of like what I did with Anna in the first meeting. I'm standing in front of a whiteboard and not in my wife's office at home, standing in front of a whiteboard, teaching and talking about the processes and how you execute in sales. And so within that first week, you're really going to realize, is this something I feel comfortable doing? Is it something I would enjoy? Do I feel like I can do this? And we start role playing and practicing and doing some work in the classroom environment. And about a week and a half into it, you then get paired up with clients that we work with. You're not working for them or employed by them. You're still working as a student with us, but we start connecting you with them so that you can have real life experience and start saying, okay, that's the product I'm going to be talking about. I'm going to try to set appointments for their sales reps. And we start making live calls and executing in that environment. But you're doing that all under the guise of coaches and managers who are supporting you day in and day out through this. Okay, so it's a very structured approach where you're making phone calls. We're meeting at least twice a day, sometimes up to 4 times a day, walking through this. The 90% of everybody that has come through the program is remote. So COVID kind of changed that on us. We were all in-house and people sitting in the classroom, but now it's pretty much everybody's been remote. But if you live in Kansas City, come on in. And we have SDRs that are sitting in the office making phone calls and working with our coaches that way. But the 90% of them are, like I said, outside. It takes about, I'd say, 2 to 3 months for you the practice to be at a point where we feel good enough to say you're a graduate. You kind of go through a small graduation process. And then from that point, we've got multiple companies in the EdTech space that are looking for folks that work directly through us. And so we've spent time calling, talking about their management style, understanding what growth opportunities, what their benefits are, all the pieces of the puzzle to say this is a good company versus this is a bad company, basically. And so we vetted the company, made them part of our partner network, and then we introduce you guys and we help you try to find a job with them. So they're saying, I need good quality talent. And we're saying, hey, we have worked through this with them and they've proven themselves to be successful. And so that's why they hire directly through us. And the way that we make our money is through placement fees. So we don't charge you guys anything ever to go through the program. We're like I said, we pay you. The companies that you're working for to set those appointments are helping pay for that. And then we make our profit because of the fact that we've placed somebody. But I'll tell you, probably 50% of the people that come into the program decide it's not the right fit for them, or it feels like it's not a good fit and they move on and don't make it to the graduation phase. But it's such a great environment to learn that in and to say, you know what, if sales is something I want to do, well then why not get paid to be trained and learn whether or not it's a good fit. There's no harm in it, really, as long as you have the time and the ability to commit the energy to it, So that's basically what we offer. We have one class we have 2 classes that are starting in this month. One is on the 14th, so right around the corner on Monday. And then 2 weeks later on the 28th, we have another class starting. And we're looking to see what we can do to fill most of those with folks that have an education background and can kind of jump in a quicker fashion than folks that do not.
So can you hear me okay?
Yep.
Hi, my name's Heather. Nice to meet you. Appreciate you providing this opportunity. What does the training schedule look like? Is it flexible hours wise? I mean, if we're working full time right now, I am a full-time teacher, so I'm just is it flexible? Do you have different options or?
Right now we do not, and we recognize that as an issue. Like we've got to find a way to make that happen. Like right now it is 4 hours in the morning, or actually it's only 2 hours in the morning, because it's really hard to sit on a Zoom for more than a couple of hours and really start keep retaining things. So we do about 2 hours in the morning, and then in the afternoon there's time for working through the homework and things like that. So that first week is really flexible. As long as you can make the 2 hours in the morning work for you, then we're good. You can work on your own time, and you record hours in a little system that we've got set up. And so, but the challenge is that for your case, like folks that are full-time workers, we don't have anything for them right now. And so we're trying to accommodate that through doing recordings. And so we've kind of taken and distilled them into 8 different modules and recorded these things. And we're trying to put it out there in a way where you can do this on demand for the first part of it and say, okay, I get it. I understand the process. I like it. Okay, now I'm ready to commit my time. And so the on-the-job training portion is just not going to ever be in a situation where we can be flexible. Once you start making phone calls, it's really a commitment to say, we have to put you in the environment to feel what it's like to actually be in that role and make 60 calls a day and execute like that and get people saying no, no, and rejecting you and saying, and so that's a big part of sales, is the mental game. And so that's the big part where I think we differentiate ourselves from everybody else, is that we put everybody in that environment. So that's never going to be an opportunity to be more flexible. And I think the way that we tried to accommodate that was through the paying in a vocational program. So you at least get some income while you're moving forward.
And I do just want to jump in, because I think one of the things is like, this is really a work opportunity, right? Like it is a job. Like it's structured differently because it's a job where you're learning as you go, but it as you transition, like this is a job opportunity in ed tech to be embedded within education technology companies. So yeah,
it is something to say that once you kind of learn the methodology and get to a graduated state, that can take, like I have this gentleman named Alex who just joined us, and he's about a month into it, and he's applying for graduation now because he's met all the criteria for it. So it can go relatively quickly. It's then going, okay, now we have 15 companies in front of you. Do you like any of them? Do you feel passionate about the product that they're offering? Okay. And then putting you in front of them, going through the interview process, and then getting an offer from them. So it could take anywhere from 2 months to 5 months if you're really picky.
And Kendrick is wondering, do you offer any training dates during the summer months for full-time teachers on a 10-month calendar?
Oh, absolutely. So every 2 weeks, pretty much, we have a new class starting. And so, we're placing people fast, and we're trying to fill the funnel back up on the back end every 2 weeks. And so these clients that we work with that are supporting our students and saying, hey, you can call on our behalf. We, at some point they're rotating people in and out, and it's like, oh gosh, we always have new people coming in because we always have people going out. So we tried to move it down to a month, but the demand is pretty high, so we've kept it at 2 weeks to start every 2 weeks.
And someone's wondering, is there a wait list for the summer programs? Like if someone on this call and is like, I have to wait till summer, what should they do? Maybe that's a better question.
Yeah, so that's a really great question. So on our website, there is so the website is just gofuelsales.com. When you go there, you can apply, and it takes you through a 3-step process, and you can just make a note in there that says, hey, I'm interested in your summer program, and they will set up a couple of dates and share with you the dates that they're starting, and you can say, hey, I'd like to be on this one, and we will make sure you're enrolled in that one and you have a spot for it.
So I just dropped the link in the chat. So it sounds like if people are interested in the summer to still go through the application process and just signify that they're interested in starting in the summer.
Yep. And then you can
Awesome.
just hit apply and answer some questions. It's a 3-step, pretty simple process to knock through that.
And someone's wondering if there are openings for the March 14th and March 24th start.
Yes, there are. There are openings. And since you're in this, the process on the website is, fill out your name, answer these questions, and then set a time to review things with myself or one of our other coaches in the program. But since you've already been listening to this, if you are currently live on here and interested in either one of those, you can just drop your email into the chat with the date that you prefer to be part of, and we'll get you enrolled in that as long as there's space. So you don't have to go onto the website, fill out all the forms, ask the questions, get a meeting with somebody. It's just, if you're interested today, just pop your stuff in there and we'll make sure you're enrolled, right?
And someone
Okay.
else, oh, sorry. I was gonna say, someone else was wondering, if you have to miss a week within the 2 or 3 month program, is that a huge issue, or would your program just extend a week?
No, I know, not at all. Once you move into making the phone calls with the client, there is a lot of flexibility in like vacation time and going away and doing other things. So we've had people that had to travel and they were out for 3 days or out for a week or things like that. As long as we have notice, then it's not a big deal at all. But it's being able to say that you're committed to executing in this time frame. The only thing we want you to learn during that time is how it feels to be making 60 calls every day consistently, right? And so, yeah, as an SDR with a normal company, you're going to be taking breaks, you're going to be taking vacations, you're going to be taking time off. So that's all that we require, is just a little notice during that time.
And someone's wondering, does this work if you are a teacher but not very techy? Will you learn how to use and work with the software?
Yes, you will. You will. The techie side, it's interesting. Definitely have a little bit of a, it slows down if you need to learn that stuff a little bit more. You can go through it really fast if you have a little bit of technical aptitude, but there is very little technical you have to know. We're going to be using a CRM, so it's a customer relationship management tool. Really, all it is a database to move through tasks on. You'll be using an internet phone, so that'll be just an app that you're dialing phone numbers on. Outside of that, that's pretty much it. That's pretty much it. So when it comes to the companies that you work with, they could be relatively high-tech companies or pretty simple, basic stuff. And so based on what you're interested in and what you're capable of, we'll match you up better to that, to make sure that you can catch on quickly and move forward with it.
And then someone else is wondering if you have a list of some of the companies that they'd be working with to see if they might be a good fit.
I do. I can, let me take a quick look. Well, you know what I do? I have a list. I can name off a few that we're working with. When it comes to the ones that we are, that you'd call through in training, I can tell you right away, those guys. Let me take a quick look here. These are partner companies that we've been working with for a period of time where, oh, they signed me out. I gotta sign back in real quick. And they understand the situation and are supporting the students, and that's what they do. And some of them actually hire directly. So you'll work with them practicing and they're like, "Ooh, I like that person." And then they'll make an offer right away. Others just are happy to receive the leads, and then you move on and interview with a totally different set of companies. But we are currently working with a company called Everyday Labs. There's one called Formative, another one called
Formative is awesome, I just have to say.
That's a big company. They asked for a lot of folks. We're kind of wrapping up our engagement with them before the end of the month. They were in this big growth pattern, and they needed some help for that. Sown to Grow is another one. Aperture Education, Kinvolved, Learning.com, IntelliSpark, and we're just getting started with a company called School Pass. It kind of is more like around security on campus with the dismissal process automated and seeing license plates and things like that come on campus. So a couple of different companies. We work with there's several startups that come through the program to try to learn about the sales process and build things out with them. Seesaw will probably rejoin us in September. They usually do this cyclical thing where they increase with us during the September through April timeframe. And then they slow down in the summer and back up again. So.
And someone else, they're asking about the pay and asking if commission is capped too. So could you talk a little bit about like the pay?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, we do. So we do pay $15 an hour. And then when you start working with making appointments, any appointment that you set, you make a commission off of. And then if that appointment turns into an opportunity with the client, you get another payment. So usually on average, what people are doing in that space is, typically early on, when you just start going through it, you're making a couple $100 in commission on top of the other thing. But as you get into the latter parts of it, it could be closer to more like $300, $400. We've had people make up to $1,500 in commission above and beyond their normal salary. But that's really small compared to what you work with these companies that we place you with. The average on-target earnings right now is a little over $70,000 for our entry-level sales job placements. So yeah. I see something on there about benefits, a question around benefits. For us, you guys are going to all be independent contractors when you work on our side. So there are no additional benefits outside of the pay. And the pay is all paid to you directly. No taxes are taken out. That's something you'll have to manage as well as independent contractors.
And someone else is wondering, would this program prepare for all roles in sales, such as like account management, SDR, BDR, et cetera?
Yeah, so it is about teaching you how to be the SDR, BDR, not necessarily account management or AE level. It is, we'll hit on that in the classroom knowledge, but when you're doing the role is that appointment setter SDR role, executing on that discovery process, qualification, and setting an appointment. The discovery process is really applicable to all sales roles. And if you do that, if you figure that one out really, really well, pretty much you're going to be good in sales across the board, regardless of what role you're in.
Awesome. And then are there
go ahead.
are there other questions too? Keep sending them through. I might have lost some. I've been trying to.
Oh, somebody just said it, or I saw in there, just to clarify, a background in sales is not necessary. A background in sales, not having a background in sales is preferred. Then we don't have to break any bad habits or change it. Typically, when I have someone who's come through with a lot of retail sales experience or things like that, they want to challenge and change and say it's, that might not be the best way. And hey, I've had success this way. And so when you don't have sales experience, it actually goes much faster because you just accept and are like, oh, that's great, I'll do that. And if you say that's the best, and it works really well.
Awesome. And someone's saying, would we work with Salesforce? Is that the CRM you use?
Yep, we work with Salesforce. We work with another one called HubSpot, which is similar, not exactly the same. We work with a tool called Outreach sometimes when a client has that. So Outreach is a way to easily manage your tasks and execute your emails that you do. So there's a lot of those different tools like that, very similar to a Salesforce.
And it's having those on your resume are huge. So when you can put that on your resume after, like it makes such a difference. Someone's wondering how challenging it is to be accepted into the program.
That first week is probably the hardest part of the process. It's like you go through a certification at the end of it. So who likes to role play? Who likes to just practice in front of a bunch of people role playing? Not many people raise their hand and say, very excited about that, but Sydney, thank you. I like it. We do, it's a safe environment where we're spending this time role playing and practicing, and we're not making fun, we're critiquing and trying to make it better and better. And so that's the challenge, is like, you've never done this before, you've never done this process, you feel like, oh, am I going to make a mistake, am I going to look like I'm like, I don't know what I'm talking about. But once you get over that and feel comfortable with the process, it goes pretty smooth after that. I'd say the folks that struggle the most are the folks that really don't understand K-12. And so they're trying to connect the dots with the personas and the people that are engaged in it and all these different things. And they get too confused. And I'm like, I don't have enough time to teach you all that stuff right now. And then we move on. So when I say 50% of the people leave, I think it's more along the lines of, one, they can't understand K-12 that well. Two, they're not a strong fit for the role because it's an emotionally struggling thing, because they feel the rejection they can't handle, and the ability to just be on the phone and call. They tend to, like, man, it takes too much energy and effort to do that. And I keep getting people telling me no and can't handle that.
I was going to
say about one thing real quick. The structure of the day, just so you know, when you start making phone calls, we don't ask you to just, like, from 8 to 5, you're making phone calls all day long trying to do this. There's really just call blocks where you have 2 hours in the morning, 2 hours in the afternoon, and the rest of the time is kind of still working on training and working on prepping for the next call block and practicing some of the things, getting emails out, things of that nature. But you're not calling all day long. It would drain you pretty bad.
And one of the things I just wanted to clarify, because a lot of people are putting their emails in, but did you want the emails just for the March 14th and March 24th, or can people do this for the summer too, or should they go to apply for the summer?
You know what, that's fine. If they want to put it for the summer as well and just say summer next to it, that's totally fine. We'll have someone reach back out to you and let you know the dates that are set up for the summer, and see which one you're interested at that point. So if you just want to let us know that summer is something you'd be interested in, that's great. That's great. But someone was saying, hey, why are we putting our emails in? And it's just to sign up. If you are interested in getting to be part of this, typically people would go online and go through this application process. And all that really is to gather a little bit of information about you and then set a time with one of our team members to explain what the program is all about. But since we're doing that here, I don't want to have you walk through that whole process. You can just drop your email in here and we'll get you enrolled.
And then another person asked, do we need to go through the interview process with the companies after completing the training? You do. You still have to interview with them. There's still somewhat, but there are companies that are hiring just directly straight from you working with them, like I was saying, but they still want to interview and go through the typical hiring process. Each one of these companies that we work with have their own unique way of interviewing or managing the hiring process. And so we're just going to follow what they want to do. Some people interview once and hire. Some people want, 3 interviews and talk to this person and go through a culture fit and take a personality test and write an email and things like that. So we try to negotiate with them when they have too lengthy of a process and say it just doesn't make sense to have to deal with all that. And so hopefully we eliminate some of those crazy things. Sorry about my dog, but are the morning sessions a set time, like a time zone?
Yep. So it is in a central time zone. We usually start every morning at 9 o'clock and we end around 11 o'clock in the morning. Then once you move into the next week and you've certified and we're ready to get you on phone calls, we usually have a little bit earlier morning where we do a stand-up, make sure everybody's on the same page, feels like they've got what they need to get started for the day and things like that. So it's a real quick 15-minute. And I think someone asked, is there resume development, cover letter development provided in this program? Yes. As you get further into the process and you are starting to say, okay, now I need to interview with these clients, We ask you to send us your resume. We work through it with you to help you understand how to potentially position it a little bit differently, how to build out a cover letter to work. And then we talk about like mock interviews where we sit down with you and say, these are the typical things you're going to experience. How would you respond to that? How can I help you respond to that better? But that's post-graduation timeframe. You submit, you graduate, and then we start working on that stuff with you. Okay. In the first week, it is mandatory to be present. So if you are unable to attend during the first week, just answering one of the other questions that came in, then it is recommended that we find just another start date for you. It is 1 week, 2 hours every morning to attend, as long as you can manage that 9 to 11 each day in the first week. That's all we're asking for. The rest is on your time frame to go through the homework that we provide you and get that done either right then and there after lunch or to knock it out in the evenings if you need to.
Someone else is wondering too, this one's a little bit further back, if there's a percentage, of the students who graduate your program that are hired with the company.
And everybody that graduates from our program has been hired. There are some of those folks that get hired outside of our group of partner companies because we're not requiring people to be exclusive in that category. So every single person who's come through the program and made it to graduation has been hired and found a job in sales, or we've had a couple people decide to move more into customer success that has an element of sales with it as well.
What can a day look like for an SDR, Dano?
That's fun. Okay, let's walk through what a typical day in the life of. So we usually start every morning with a stand-up. Stand-up is usually 15-20 minute conversation about, what happened yesterday, what's your plan for today, do you have any challenges we can help you with? And then it moves into your call block. So usually there's about a 2-hour call block. Then there's a break in that time frame where we do a quick meeting again, make sure everybody's good. Then there's typically some kind of one-on-one or team meeting or something in that area where your coach is sitting down with you, walking through some recordings, helping you with some of the challenges you might have had. Then you're teeing up you got to have lunch at some point. Then you're kind of teeing up the call block with making sure that you have contacts and leads in there in the right way. And then there's another 2-hour call block. And then we meet again in the afternoon. So there's prep time, there is team meeting and one-on-one time, there's coaching time, and then there's the 2-hour blocks of calling. The two-hour blocks of calling. Once you get to a graduated state, then it turns into, well, I've got 4 interviews today, so I can't be part of this call block, or I can't do this, but that's the typical day in the life of. There are companies that, depending on where you get hired and what your full role is, sometimes they want you to do inbound and outbound. We teach a lot of outbound. And so there could be times where you have a little bit of downtime waiting for inbound inquiries and things like that. There are times where they're going to want people to build out email contacts and things like that, build out content for email campaigns and things of that nature. But the majority of the time is you working on setting meetings and following up with those meetings.
And someone's wondering if you're provided with the phone numbers to call.
Yep. I'd say there are going to be times that they're going to give you just a general phone number and you've got to call and then find the right person and get the right number and, do some of that work. But K-12, everything is so public out there that it is relatively easy to find what we need. And so it should all be provided for you, especially as you're going through this program. Like, we try to make it as simple and easy as possible for you to have a good quality list to work off of. So should be able to not have to worry about that too much.
And I know that some people have joined late. So someone just asked if this is a paid training or no. So could you just give another 2-minute rundown of what this is for anyone that joined late? Sorry.
No, no problem. The folks that have joined late, it is a paid opportunity. And so from day one, classroom time, all the way through to the end, you're paid $15 an hour. When you are in the mode of kind of the vocational part of the program where you're on the job training, there's also a commission component to that where you're paid a commission for every meeting that you set and a commission for every meeting that turns into an opportunity. So for one meeting set, you have 2 opportunities to receive a commission off of it. Okay.
Awesome. And then does anyone working part-time participate in this program?
Usually not. We tried that in the past and it just has been too difficult to manage different part-time schedules and everything else in there. So we've tried to nail it down to just have one process that we go through, which is more of a full-time. I'd say the average number of hours for people are somewhere in that 32 hours a week that they're going through this program.
And I just, again, like, this is, to me, I remember when I first met you and we were talking about this, I was like, this is so cool. It's this paid training program, and that I work with a lot of companies that are hiring right now, and having this on your resume would put you at the top of that pile, right? And you have that ed tech experience that, like, it is, I mean, I help people write their resumes and whatnot, but you cannot beat having this experience, and it will always get your resume flagged to look at. It's truly, and sales is such a stepping stone for customer success, for marketing too. Like, there's so like, it is like the #1 channel to get into ed tech. So I cannot speak high enough of this program and in the opportunity that it's providing, and in such a condensed period of time to get that experience and then to take that step in your career.
Is anybody familiar with the Talent Ed products? Like it used to be called NetChemia, and now it's Talent Ed. They're recruit and hiring of teachers and performance evaluations and things like that. Used to work at that company. I ran sales for them as well as the SDR team, and the SDR team was like the farm team for all the entire company. So I kept having to hire more and more people onto the SDR team. But what was happening there was they had an opportunity to sit down and learn a lot about the product, learn a lot about our customers, learn a lot about marketing processes and how to message effectively and how to go down that path. And so it turned out to be like, well, you want to be a recruiter? Okay, come over to recruiting. Oh, you want to be in marketing? You want to do, okay, come over to the marketing team. Oh, you want to be in sales? Let's promote you up that level. Oh, customer success, great. So it was like, everybody kept poaching from my team and promoting and promoting. And so it really turns out to be a great place to start, because as an entry-level position, getting 70K as an on-target earning is pretty huge as an opportunity. When I started in this, it was like $30,000. I'm like, it has grown over the years, and people see the importance of this role because there's a lot of attention around the fact that this is where a lot of the revenue comes and is generated from for the company. So not only do you get high opportunity to touch in all different areas of the business, but you get high visibility from the executive staff as well.
Yep. Someone said, if you provide your email in the chat, should we sign up online as well? No.
No need. No need. If you provide your email, it should, from the recording, should be able to see all those and just start plugging them in for you. If you put your email in there, and within, by tomorrow morning, if you do not have an invite for the class that you asked for, or an email saying thank you, we'll reach out in the summer, let me know, and I'll make sure that you get set up, okay? Because I might, if I missed it, not perfect, I might have missed something through the process as I go, but just expect that invite, mid-morning tomorrow at the latest, at the absolute latest.
Awesome.
Janet, you mentioned Salesforce Pathfinder alum. And if you've been through that, if Janet is still on, if you've been through that already, you're well ahead of the game. This is kind of a light brush over something like that.
And I know there are other questions I'm sure I've missed in the chat, so please feel free to drop them or to hop on and ask your questions too. This is,
Yeah. Unmute and yell out your thoughts.
And then Dan, do you mind if I share your email in the chat?
Oh, sure, go right ahead.
Before,
Sorry, I
let
should
me
have
just
done
grab
that.
it.
Can I ask a question, Dan?
Yeah.
Go ahead, Stephanie.
I'm actually already signed up to start on Monday
Oh,
with the next group. But my question was, once we get through the first week and we get into the calls and the companies we're working with, will we have time to learn about them? I feel like that's the part I might be nervous about. Like if I don't understand their product and all of that kind of stuff, will that be built into that also?
oh, absolutely. So for the entire first week, we're going to be talking about a client that you'll probably start working on. And then if you transition away or move to the next one, you're going to be spending days, with study material and meeting one-on-one with our team and meeting in a team environment and saying, this is we're never going to put you in a situation where you get on the phone, you don't know what's going on. Because that would be bad for us and bad for the client and everything. And so we'll want to role play with you and make sure you feel comfortable enough, and we feel comfortable enough that you understand what's happening before we move you forward.
Awesome.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah. The things that we work on is in order to understand about the company, we actually document all this detail about the person you're going to be calling. So we call it a persona, and it is basically saying, okay, we're calling HR directors. This is the typical HR director. This is the type of person this is the things they do in their job. And so it's almost like you get a real rundown and be able to put yourself in the shoes of the other person and the problems they're experiencing. And then we move over to product and say, this product solves these specific issues that they deal with, and this is how it does that. And so hopefully those two things combined, you can, okay, I get a good idea behind this and what's working with it. The great thing is that when the prospect starts going, well, oh, that's interesting, and starts asking questions, you're like, oh, well, let's set up a meeting and you can talk to someone else about that.
Okay, perfect. Awesome. Thank you.
Okay. I'm reading one on here that says, I can actually be in this program Wednesday through Sunday. If that's acceptable, I can fully commit to the first week of training. I really hope. Well, if now is not the right time, it's not a big deal, because like I said, every 2 weeks, there is another class that's opening up. So if you do not feel like that, you can fit in between a Monday through Friday type of feel for this class, because there's content for Monday and homework, and then there's content for Tuesday and homework. And then, so if you can't be in that kind of flow with the rest of the group, it's no problem. It's just, it may delay your start. And so if it doesn't work, it doesn't work right now, and we can push to the next time frame or the next time window. And like I said before, I am working on modules to be able to do that first week on demand. So if it doesn't work right now, we're probably 4 weeks away from being in a situation where you can do it on demand and feel comfortable that it's something that could work for you, and then commit to more of a full-time effort. Does that make sense? Okay. And then is it Joanna? If we put our email in for the summer start, can we sign up for the Meet Your Instructor call, or is it too early for that? The Meet Your Instructor, that's me. So you're kind of meeting your instructor right now. So you may not be, you don't really need to do that. You can kind of skip that process. There's 4 other people outside of me that are going to be part of instructing, but you can meet them when you join. And so there was another question around how long are the classes. That depends on how fast you learn and execute on them. So the actual classroom knowledge itself, or classroom training, is 1 week and a little bit longer. Outside of that, it's vocational training that can last anywhere from 2 months to 6 months. there's a criteria that we have with a scorecard that we work with you every week on, that says this is where you are needing to kind of advance a little bit. This is where we feel you're strong. This is how we can help you with it. If you just blow that scorecard out really quick, then you can apply to graduate and then move on pretty quickly. So we kind of try to do it at that person's pace and not make it a situation where everybody has to graduate within 3 weeks or something like that. It's work at your own pace and get through it.
Someone's wondering if in a company there's a set number of sales you have to meet.
Yeah, so each company has their own goals associated to it. There are companies that have more of a very quick transactional conversation and it goes very fast, and someone's able to set 4 meetings every week. 4 meetings every day. And it's like, wow, boom, 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 zip right through it. And there's others that are like, I set a meeting this week. Yes. And so each one of them has their own goals that we've established with them, and we share that with you to say, this is where we would expect you to be. And this is what success really looks like for it, but it's different with each company. And the timeline for the classes, so everybody, there was a couple of questions around that. It starts at 9 o'clock Central Standard. So it's a little early for Pacific time, and it's a little late for, it's way early for Pacific time. So it's a 7 o'clock start Pacific time, 7 a.m. And somebody asked, how easy is it to get a job offer after graduation? One of the things I did mention was that everybody who's graduated has been offered a job. So as long as you graduate, there's lots of opportunity for you. The only difficult part about it is kind of selling yourself in the interview, right? So matchmaking and selling yourself in that interview process. There was a time early in our process where we didn't have as many partner companies as we do now, where it took a little bit longer and it was harder, but everybody graduated. Now we have so many partner companies that we're working with because of the folks that have started to recognize that we are exclusively K-12, and we're getting more and more people interested, that it's no problem at all now. So a day in the life of someone in sales versus a day in the life of someone in the SDR role is a little bit slightly different. The salesperson is spending more time managing someone who is already interested. So the SDR role is about generating interest, qualifying, and moving them to the next level. The sales role, or like an account executive role, is more about, I've got to do demos, I've got to manage someone through a sales process. So meet with the board, meet with the other person, talk through the process, build out a proposal, execute on some of those things. And it really is almost like the feel of project management along with this relationship management process that they do. But it's not as structured. The only challenge is that you always have to do just a little bit of prospecting every day. So that's a structured piece that they usually have in their day. Paid, Sydney, you're paid bi-weekly. And so it's every other Friday, you get a check. Okay. And it is all through ACH too. So it's just like pumping right into your bank account instead of sending checks that you have to manage through. Any other questions from anyone? Okay. Okay.
I think we're good. Well, thank you all. I will be sending a link to this recording as well. Oh, Charmaine wanted to know some of the companies you work with.
Oh, let me go back. So the companies that we work with right now, as far as who you would be making phone calls during your kind of practice time, I can name some of those off. School Pass, Kinvolved, learning.com, Aperture Education, Sown to Grow, Everyday Labs, Formative, Illumin or Illumin. But when it comes to, let me see if I can find the list, because people asked about placement too. And there's additional partner companies, like there's a company called Transportant. There's a company called Heartland. Heartland is a big EdTech company. They're all part of the, payment processes within K-12. Swing Education. There's also a company that's called Yoga Ed. So if anybody's really into yoga, we're looking for yoga teachers, and like people that want to sell yoga into classroom and mindfulness into classroom. So they're based in Hawaii. There's OutSchool. There's a company called Thimble.io. They're robotics that they do. Marker Learning is a special education company that we just placed somebody with. Branching Minds, Chalk Talk. There's another one called SoftDocs, which is both K-12 and higher ed. We've placed people at Pear Deck, who now has been bought and is someone else now. I can't remember. I think it was Impero. So yeah, there's a lot of different companies that we're working with right now. Those are folks that are currently active and have job offerings and job descriptions in front of us today saying, please give me candidates. Is that helpful? Good? Okay. All right.
I'm seeing a lot of positive feedback, so
Okay.
I'm going with yes.
Okay.
Awesome. Are there any other questions? Going once, twice? A lot of thank yous, Dan. Thank you so much. This is a fantastic opportunity. I really encourage everyone on this call to explore it and apply. I think it's, are most positions remote?
Yes. Most, if not all, promotions are remote. We have some people that are a little bit more like, please find me people in this specific area. I would like to hire folks close to me at least, but most of them are remote. So works out really well when it's remote, because you have a little bit more freedom with your time as well to manage how you see fit. Okay, so I hope to see some of you like Monday. It sounds like I saw some people coming through on there, so maybe I will see you Monday, others on the 24th, and then maybe a good bunch of you on the summer. But I will be the instructor for the class, period. Like there's other folks that join me, but I'm the main instructor for the class.
Awesome. I'm very excited for this and to follow along with everyone too. This is such a great opportunity to get into ed tech during a time when a lot of people are trying to. I think this is awesome, and I just am really excited.
Anna, thank you for the opportunity to get in front of you. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
All right.
Have a good night.
Good night, everyone.
Thanks. And Anna, as soon as I get the recording, I guess I can use that to make sure I get everybody set up. Oh, you're muted, Anna.
Awesome. Thank you all. I see some people are filling it out. Any other questions for the 3 people on? Not, I will remove.
Yeah. I will help you. Okay.
Let me stop.